Welcome back to Arhaan's Autism Diary, everyone. Hope all of you are doing well. In our today's video, I'm sharing with you all about special education private school in NYC. There are many different special education private school in NYC, and there are different process to get in every individual school. There are very complicated process as well. So in today's video, I had to visit some school for Arhaan. So these are one of the second school. And I know many of you have questions regarding a school, so I just want to give you a little heads up about the school and how does the programs and what are the different and how could you get into some school. Some of us is already familiar with the IEP and what is IEP stand for, but there are some who are very new and doesn't know what is IEP. So I'm just going to give you a brief information about IEP as well. So IEP is individualized education plan. This document intended to help navigate the complicated IEP process so the children with disability will more quickly receive accommodation they need. An IEP is a free resource provided by the public school system for children with disabilities. And the IEP is designed to provide the child with free appropriate public education, also known as FAP. An IEP is mandated Individuals with Disability Education Act. This federal law legally requires public school to develop a plan for IEP for every student with disability who is found to meet the requirements for special education. After all the process is done, and if your child is under 5 years old, there is a totally different process, and your child is eligible for many different private school as well at this moment, and you don't have to worry about any fee. However, when it comes to child above 5 years old, in my case, my son is fourth grader, and I'm searching for a school, private school, and how did I end up, finding one school for him. So in my case, how did I end up in private school and what did I do to get him to private school? There is a process, and those things are very important, which is once the IEP is done, you have to see and follow, stay on top of your child IEP to see if your child is improving or not, if your child education plan is being met or not. Once you believe that all these issues are not being addressed and not being taken care and your child is being neglected, you really have right to go ahead and appoint an attorney. A special education attorney is available throughout the New York City. You can always call any one of them and tell what is going on with your child and explain them what's really happened and what are you looking for and why are you trying to contact them. You have to give them a valid point, like why this happened and why do you believe is not met, are they capable of not. So there's a many different way that you have to prove that your child didn't receive accommodation or hasn't received any proper education in public setting. In cases, all the stuff that were necessary and all the accommodation was put on for my son was not met in public school. They weren't able to provide it. So therefore, I had to appoint an attorney and I had to fight for my right and advocate for my child. As I mentioned earlier, so once you appoint an attorney and they will be looking at your child's based on the FAP, the law that I just explained earlier, that your child has right to get a public education setting free of everything, because the IEP is a legal document. Wherever they're written in the IEP, they have to provide your child, including parental training. Once the attorney review everything, they will decide if they're willing to take your case and move and proceed on or not. So once all the process is started, and there's many waiting process and also hearing officers and many more other department involved. So in today's video, the most important part I'm sharing with you all was every child is different. Every child's case are different. So once you hear someone saying that my child got to private school without any issue from 5th grade, from 4th grade, from kindergarten, from pre-K, there are different process. Everything depends on your child's IEP. So autism spectrum has many different levels, so as their IEP are different and every child is different. That's why it's always important, we always mention, please do not compare your child to any other child. So when it comes to put your child to private school, it's also depend on your child. It's also depend on your child's IEP. So please, when you are dealing with a special needs child, please do not feel bad or do not want to push too much for private school. First, I will recommend to all parents go through your child's IEP and based on that, see if the needs are met or not. Sometimes you might end up winning the case with the attorney and sometimes you might end up losing the case. So it is very important for you to know your child and have a legal document. This process really sounds so easy, but believe me, it is not easy. You have to give so much documentation. You have to prove your arguments. You have to fight for your right. You have to keep all your documents. Everything has to be ready. You just cannot fight for it. There are so many cases. I know so many people has lost. They hasn't got private school because you have to prove it that you are fighting and you are right and you are correct and you have all the proven document to prove the Department of Education is not meeting your child's need. So in Arhaan case, I was able to prove everything in front of the hearing officer and then I won the case. So however, after winning the case, now I come to searching the school. It was a very, very hard time I had with Arhaan, and now I'm going to explain to you why I had a hard time for Arhaan getting into a school. There are 180 different special education private schools in NY. Getting into one is not easy. Some schools offer different program or therapy to your children. Oftentimes, you will not find a school with everything necessary for your child or whatever is written on his or her IEP. Most schools have busing company and paraprofessional that can assist your child, but this process is very complicated and very long because it also has to be written on your IEP. The company that provide those services is very messy and is long waiting. To get into those schools, you will need your child evaluated and interviewed. Some school will waitlisted you, or even you have waited a month for a response to get into one of the school. So in my case, we waited for so long, and because Arhaan's IEP was very complicated, he has so many related services which many school does not provide. So it also depends on your child IEP. If your child has so many program that he really needs and those school doesn't offer, so they have right to deny. So that's why he was denied from many different school. So once finally there are few that are met Arhaan's needs, and the school that we're going today is one of them that provide most of all the services. Is a clinic-based private school, and I'm really liking the setting, and let's see how it goes. So this all video was recorded when Arhaan was evaluated and when we visited the school, and I will share the other information in my part 2 video. Look out for my part 2 video. Hope you liked our video today, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe to Arhaan's Autism Diary and stay connected. And those of you already supporting us, we'd like to thank you for keep supporting us. See you in another video.